This is Susan Riddle Pentland, and this is July 26th, 2004. And Floyd is here as the photographer, Floyd Clark Pentland, and we're going to walk through the house and give you an inventory and mention some of the history of the pieces in the house. The pod here on the left I know very little about, other than that it was in grandmother's classroom in Foster School when I was a student with her in 7th and 8th grade. It always set up on top of the cloakroom. And that was the one thing I really wanted when she passed away from the house after she passed away. The chair was the one piece that Mother had that I had really wanted, and she told me earlier that I could have it because the history of it is it was in Josephine's house in Knob Nostra, McPherson, and I remember it down there. Told me is that Lonnie, she had it from Lonnie and Catherine, and that they had bought it in Russellville, Kentucky, and their understanding when they visited, and of course that was probably in the 30s or 40s they visited there, that because Catherine died when I was born around 1947, that their understanding was it came from one of the Gillum homesteads in Russellville, Kentucky. And this dish cabinet was Grandmother Flannery's. It always sat in the dining room. I remember it as a child where her hand-painted plates were stacked in the bottom shelf, and also that these gold-rimmed small glasses were always in the cabinet. The dish cabinet here is oak and apparently a mission piece, as I mentioned earlier, from 309 South McGuire. We always called it Grandma's dish cabinet. And the centerpiece is a Vaseline glass that Grandmother purchased, as I understand, from a sale from someone that lived right up the street from her on 309 South McGuire. And since Mother remembers it, it makes me think it was probably the 1930s, because Mother remembers it being in the house. It was in the house all the time I was ever in Grandmother's house. It sat in the front living room in a corner by the fireplace. And Floyd has always liked it so much that when we were dividing up Mother's things, Mark and Linda wanted him to have this one, because this was his gift. Glass tray. Came from Grandmother's collection. I don't know anything more than that about it. Very small, as you can see, a cup and saucer that's Meissen that Gwendolyn Chambers gave to me shortly before her death, and her husband had brought it back, Lawrence Allen, when he was in Germany at the end of World War II. This covered butter dish was Grandmother Riddle's. I don't know much about its history, but it was Grandmother Riddle's, and I believe Aunt Vivian had given it to Cheryl, and Carol gave it to me then since Cheryl's death. The top shelf is a Syracuse covered vegetable dish that was Grandmother's, and it's one that Mother particularly loved to use after Grandmother's death on special occasions. And the hand-painted lamp here was Grandmother's. It was in the front living room. I rather think on the Aunt Addie's table, but I'm not positive. The chair was one of Lonnie's. The Combs is probably part of his and Catherine's dining room set. Mother bought it for me at auction when Lonnie went into the rest home. This desk sat in Grandmother's bay window in the second living room, as she always kept her African violets on. In fact, you can still see rings where the violets sat. There were always old textbooks in the side. And Mother gave it to me after Grandmother died, and we kept it on Laurel Street in the basement until we moved to Grover. And so on Grover, as well as here on Southwest Drive, it's always been my working desk in my study. The dresser was also at Grandmother's at 309 South McGuire. I guess it was in the upstairs bedrooms. Mother had it after Grandmother died and kept it out in the carriage house for a long, long time. And when we moved to Grover, then I had it in Grover. And there is a mirror for it, but it's in the basement. But it does match it. The lamp here was also in Grandmother's front room. I sort of think it was by the fireplace, but I wouldn't say I'm sure. This oak piece is a music cabinet that Lonnie Combs made for his wife Catherine, I believe, when they got married. It's all hand done. And he had it at the rest home, and when he passed away, his sisters gave it to me. Picnic basket here in the middle, I remember very well. It was Grandmother's picnic basket. Mother had it all those years and then gave it to me. Dresser was Grandmother's, and consequently it's the piece of furniture that I'm the most attached to, although it's by far the most bedraggled of the antiques. She always had it in my lifetime in the dining room, but I assume it was in her bedroom earlier at 309 South McGuire, and I wouldn't really be surprised if she hadn't had it as a girl on the farm. I don't know that, but I wouldn't be surprised, because they each had their own piece of furniture. Uncle Bob, I know, had a little chest, and we were always so attached to it because we'd go over and it would just be covered with Grandmother's makeup
And she always kept her bun in one of these little drawers, and there usually be kind of hair falling out of the drawer. And consequently, if I ever had it refinished, which I probably won't, I wouldn't remove the little circles, because those are all Grandma's makeup when she'd go to get her special makeup at Harsville's in Kansas City. So that's Grandma's dresser. And I've had other people look at it, and it's agreed that it's very old. I don't know how old, but very old. It might be even older than Grandmother. She was born in 1893. I forgot to say that this is, a very old piece, and it is walnut, very clearly walnut. Chair is a family piece. I think Mother told me that it was in the back living room at 309 South McGuire. It's oak. Of course, we've had it refinished, but it's a nice oak piece.
Information about the chair and tables was provided by Cynthia on January 26, 2015. The table and chairs were built by our great-great-grandfather, John T. Gillum, married to Margaret Mays Gillum. Mother and Daddy had the chairs recaned. There was also a piece that used as a buffet that was originally a flower bin. Not sure where that went.